Agenda item 7 is consideration of approval of resolution number 745 in support of the Virgin Valley Water District's request to revise the Virgin Valley Water District Act, Section 5, composition and election of governing board, of the governing board of the district with possible action. The petitioners are Councilman Hafen and Councilman Rapson. Before we begin, I have had a request from Councilman Hafen that we do allow public comment on this particular item. Is that okay with the rest of council at this point? So what I'll do, rather than go to Councilman Hafen or Councilman Rapson, we'll first open public comment on this. Remember that if you wish to make public comment, please come forward, state your name and where you're from, and we will have a 3-minute rule on that as well. Seeing none, we'll close the public comment portion and go to Councilman Hafen.
Maybe this is a legal question. Does that constitute public outreach? Just kidding. The reason we put this on here is, and that's the reason I asked Warren the question. I am of the opinion that people would like to elect those that have the opportunity to raise rates, do those things that actually cost us money. And that's the justification for putting it on. If we need to have another public hearing, I'm fine with that, so that we can notice it and schedule it one more time, so it's not voted on tonight, so that we do truly have public outreach, get the consensus of the citizens. So I guess that would be my recommendation, that we maybe schedule some kind of hearing down the road and we'll take action.
So you're suggesting, well, I'll take comment from the rest of council at this point, but you're suggesting that we table this item for another public hearing, is that correct, Councilman Hafen? Okay. Councilman Gus Davison.
Thank you, Mayor. I also agree that elected officials obviously would be a better setup than what we currently have, but I do have some concerns. And one of the concerns I have is that the history has not been real good on people running for elected positions. So I think that we do need to have the public input. And I think that Mr. Hardy has made that very clear to us in the meetings with the Water District as well, the importance of making sure that this is vetted completely and not just rushed through. So I would like to see that. We're kind of getting the horse before the cart here, to be frankly honest with you, because this hasn't, there's been no decision even made on this item of the Water District at this point in time. It's been brought before the Water District and it's been put on hold kind of to see what maybe the feelings were of Bunkerville and Bunkerville Board. We don't have an answer from them yet. And also this board. So I think we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves a little bit. The other thing is that water is probably the most important issue that we have. If we're going to have any growth in the future, or anything's going to happen here in a positive way, we need to make sure that when we're making changes on the water board, or we're making changes that deal with water, that they're well thought out. And there's been a number of things going through the founding documents that probably need to be looked at. I know there's been some board members that have talked about they want to change salaries, and there's others that want benefits. But more important than that, there's some verbiage in the original documents that talk about proportionate representation. And I'm a little concerned that at this point in time, certainly Mesquite does not have that at all. There's currently 5 board members, 2 of them from Bunkerville, that's 40%. 3 from Mesquite, that's 60% of the representation. The income that's derived is about 95% out of Mesquite and about 5 to 10% out of Bunkerville. So there really isn't proportionate, and I think that's an issue that needs to be talked through. So anyway, those are some of the concerns I have, and I think that this needs to go back before we make any big decisions. This needs to go back before the Water District Board, and it needs to be discussed fully. And I think that we need to have a number, at least 1 or 2 public hearings on it.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilman Rapson.
Well, I agree in principle with all the comments that have been made so far, but what I do disagree with is the cart before the horse issue. I mean, we're not the ones who are going to ultimately make this decision. It's the Virgin Valley Water District. And for us to wait till they make a decision in order to bring this, how we feel about it as a city and the biggest user, as Councilman Gustavson pointed out, the timing is before they make a decision. So I agree with Councilman Haven. We need to have some public input, but we need to make our position clear, how we feel about it as a city and the biggest users, before it comes before the Virgin Valley Water District and they make a decision. And I presume that they will do what Mr. Hardy has suggested, have significant public input as well. So I don't think it hurts to have this discussion now in any respect, and I'm in favor of that. And frankly, I do agree with Mr. Gustavson with respect to representation. We are underrepresented as both from an infrastructure standpoint, from a rate standpoint, from every standpoint. But once again, that's not our battle. That's the Virgin Valley Water District's battle. But we can recommend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further comments from council? Sorry. We'll let you say something at the very end, the public comment, Mr. Miller. Councilman Hafen.
If there's no more comment from council, first to make it clear, I do believe that, as Mr. Councilman Rapson said, we need to recommend to the Virgin Valley Water District what the city's position is, and that's why this is on the agenda. And the way it's on the agenda is strictly to change the one appointment from Bunkerville and the one appointment from Mesquite to elected individual. That's strictly all it is. Not getting into the proportionate, whether I agree or disagree with that. We control 60% of the vote, and you know what? We just need to pay attention and make sure that the representatives from Mesquite do what they do. I mean, we have control. So, you know, the issue is tonight, and what's on the agenda is strictly that. So I don't want any misunderstanding there. So I make a motion that as quickly as staff can agendaize and notice a public hearing, at least one. If we need more, I guess we can see after that, based on attendance and comments. I would recommend that we schedule one as early as staff can make those accommodations and notices. And then after we compile that information, we bring it back to the City Council.
Okay, I do have a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We're going to call for discussion.
Point of order.
Councilman Gustavson, you've been recognized, and you can have discussion now on the motion. So, go ahead, sir.
Well, but I was the only light that was up there at the time. You were writing, and I'm sure you didn't see it. I'm sure there's no intention not to. But I was trying to get another point in, and normally it is Robert's rules to ask if there's any further discussion.
And that's what we're doing at this point, Councilman. So go ahead, sir.
Okay, I agree with everything that both these gentlemen said. The only problem I see with this is that we can't go before the state legislature to do one thing now, and then somewhere down the road we want to go back, we want to change that and change it to something else another time. This needs to be, I think it needs to be completely vetted and completely decided what issues that are also in the documents that may need to be addressed, as opposed to trying to come back every 2 years and change it. I think that would be less than a good idea.
Thank you, Councilman. Any further discussion on the motion itself? If not, I will ask if there's any, ask the motion from Councilman Hafen if you would wish to make any adjustments to that motion at this time.
No.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm going to ask to repeat the motion. And basically, the motion was that we ask staff to schedule a public hearing to allow citizen input, get that noticed at the earliest convenient date. We will hear from the public, and once we hear from the public, we will determine, bring it back to council, determine whether we need another public hearing. If not, we will address the issue based on every individual on the Virgin Valley Water District Board being elected.
And we did have the second on that as well. So with that being said, any further discussion on this motion itself? All right, seeing none, we'll call for the vote. That motion carries. Thank you.